What's up, everybody? Wayne Shada here. We haven't actually really spoken in a while, and I gotta apologize for that. But there's been a lot going on as far as finals for college, and I just recently got engaged. I proposed to my girlfriend, or my fiance now. So a lot's been going on in my life, and to be honest, I wasn't really interested and excited about a lot of the events that happened just recently. So I didn't mention. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to do a vlog that was going to be kind of half-assed or just do a vlog for the sake of doing a vlog. But nonetheless, I will go over 130, and I kind of felt not even mentioning about it, but I'll just do it for the sake of doing it. And UFC 130 is one of those events that in my mind will just pass. I'll probably forget about it. It's definitely forgettable. Stan beat Santiago by knockout. That was actually pretty surprising. That was the match that I thought was a fight was going to be really, really interesting. Mir Nelson went as I expected, and Jackson beat Hamill. Again, boring fights. So I didn't really even care to talk about that. And the Ultimate Fighter happened. It ended recently, and they had their Ultimate Fight night the other day. And again, I don't even care to even discuss that. I know Guido won it. What's sad is Guido's one of my favorite fighters because he's just nuts. And I love the fact that he goes out there and he's just full of energy and he's exciting, you know. But I don't know. You know, there's a lot of times I think about what's going on with the UFC, and I feel like since the UFC bought out Strikeforce, they kind of took a lot of the gas out of MMA. It's crazy because I feel like I'm watching pay-per-views and watching a lot of guys that are not necessarily wanting to finish fights or have that sense of urgency to finish a fight. Guys that are just trying to coast. And I know it's easy for me to say that behind the camera because it's, you know, look at me, I'm fat. I obviously don't, I mean, I've never trained martial arts for an extended period of time. And, you know, a lot. It's just kind of crazy how, I don't know, I watch all these Pride videos and I go back to Pride a lot. You know, that's what I grew up on, you know, and if you want to call it grew up. But I watch the Pride videos and, you know, I find when you're in a fight that it's better to be knocked out in an exciting manner than lose knowing that by decision. And I know that's easy for me to say that behind the camera, but if you're down 2 rounds in a 3-round fight and you have no sense of urgency to try to knock the guy out or submit him, then maybe you shouldn't be fighting. And I know that's messed up for me to say, but you know, end the fight. Just go out there and take a shot. You know, Wanderlei, and there's a lot of fighters out there that when they lose, they go out, you know, bombs blazing, trying to actually win it all, you know. And I don't see that. I haven't seen that recently in a while. Just guys just trying to do whatever it takes to win, and you know, there's a lot of stalling, and I know we're not allowed to have knees now on the ground. Well, that's been forever, but I don't know. You either get takedown defense or study the guys. You know, if you're gonna fight GSP, that either, you know, he's gonna try to take you down, and so get some takedown defense. No more complaining about all this nonsense of laying and praying and stuff. You should, if you're a fighter, you should be trying to stop that. But man, there's got to be some type of yellow card or something done to make you know, MMA, you know, the UFC now, if you want to call it that. Just make it more exciting because last 2 events were horrible. I mean, they were really, really bad. Just guys not finishing. It's just really bad. Either way, UFC 131's coming up. I wanted to talk about that. I was really, really excited for this event because Brock was going to be on it, and Brock's one of my favorite fighters. I've watched him in the WWE, and I watched him when he first started doing MMA, and I even when I was reading up on him when he was doing the football. I met him a while ago. I'm just a fan of Brock Lesnar. I get him. I love the fact that he's just a mean bastard that comes in and just wants to beat people up. There's people in life you'll meet that are just big and mean and angry, and he's one of them. But it's really, really sad that he had this sickness come over him, and we can't see this fight. Uh, honestly, I thought Brock was going to lose this fight. I mean, Cain Velasquez was a great striker and very, but Dos Santos, I think, he has better striking with the hands. Um, so with that being said, in a way, maybe it's good that he's gonna have a little time off. I don't know. I root for Brock, man. I'm on that war wagon, that Brock Lesnar war wagon. So it is what it is. But UFC 131's coming now this Saturday. Looking forward to it on paper. First fight is going to be Cerrone versus Hosha, Wagner Hosha. Hosha's coming in to sub in for somebody else who got injured. I forget off the top of my head. But I picked Cerrone to win. I don't know much about Hosha except for what I read online. And I didn't care to actually look at the internet for some of his fights. But, Cerrone's probably going to win, Donald Cerrone. So I'm just going to pick him by decision. Second, Cerrone's really doesn't. I mean, he tries to finish fights, but he really can't. Most of his fights are by submission, if I'm correct. And Hosha, I think, comes from a really, really strict Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, so it's going to be hard to submit him. Not that it's impossible, just hard. And I think Cerrone's probably going to cruise and get a decision. Second fight's going to be Damian Maia versus Mark Munoz. I think this fight's very, very interesting, seeing that both guys have really, really good backgrounds in their martial art, if you want to call it that. Maia's like a world-renowned Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter, and Munoz is like an NCAA champion when it comes to wrestling. So this is actually pretty good. It's a really good. As far as on the mat, if it gets to the mat, it's going to be kind of interesting. So, but I think the way that this fight's going to end up is standing. And I know Maia's worked on his boxing ever since he fought Anderson Silva. But I think Munoz has just better striking, and I expect Munoz to knock him out. Actually, I think Munoz, if it goes to the mat, I always take the wrestler over the jiu-jitsu fighter. So when it comes to that, I think Munoz is going to win by knockout. I'm going to say second round. Third fight of the night is going to be John Olaf Einemo. Forgive me if I mispronounced that name, against Dave Herman. And I didn't know much about Einemo, except that for what Gary the Great told me, which is that he's from Golden Glory, which means he's going to have decent striking. He's a really good grappler, submission artist. And, of course, a lot of you guys know here, Herman is great, just a great fighter, an up-and-coming fighter. But, what I did look at was Einemo hasn't fought in a while. And, I just think that if Einemo doesn't take Herman down, which it's possible, but if Einemo doesn't and somehow this stays up, no matter the fact that, yeah, he's going to be training with Golden Glory, I think Herman's going to knock him out. I think Einemo hasn't had like a fight, an MMA fight, something like over 4 years, if I'm correct. So I think Herman's going to win this. There's always ring rust. You can train as much as you want amongst your boys and do a lot of sparring, but it's different when you have somebody across the octagon, a ring, or cage that wants to kill you. So I think Herman's gonna win by knockout. Second, another fight that's good after that. I guess it's the co-main event, if you want to call it that. It's gonna be Kenny Florian versus Diego Nunez. Now Florian is dropping down in weight mainly because he couldn't hack it as a lightweight fighter. BJ destroyed him, and it wasn't going to look good. It's going to very, very tough division. So Florian dropped down. He's going against Diego Nunez. Interesting fight. Nunez is actually well renowned when it comes to the WEC. He's on a winning streak. I believe it's like a 3-win winning streak. And Florian's just Ken Flo. He's just Florian. But I think I'm going to go with Florian in this fight, mainly because Nunez has a habit in his WC fights, what I observed, is that he kind of gets manhandled against guys that are bigger than him. And Florian's going to be dropping down the weight, which means he's not naturally a little bit bigger of an opponent for him. So I think Florian's going to win by sub. But it could go either way. Because I really hate Florian. I'm hoping Nunez wins, but I think Ken Flo's could probably win. And last fight of the night is gonna be the main event, which I'm actually looking forward to. The UFC did a great job at actually subbing Brock in for somebody who actually might be a better fighter. And I hate to say that because I'm such a huge nut hugger when it comes to Brock Lesnar, but Carwin is pretty much almost as good wrestling, better striking against Junior Dos Santos. So this fight actually might be a little bit more evenly matched than the Lesnar fight. But I don't know how Dos Santos is going to really, when it comes to fighting somebody in wrestling. I don't think he had to really alter his game plan or his training method. He is going to be going against a guy that's really good at wrestling and really, really strong. Carwin has lethal strikes. He can knock you out in 1 second. I mean, he's got heavy hands. And that's really putting it lightly, if that makes sense. But Carwin is gonna be gonna hit. I expect Carwin to try to do what Carwin does, which is dirty box, hold Dos Santos against the cage, and try to throw a whole bunch of uppercuts and just try to knock him out. This fight is definitely not going to go past the second round. I think after the second round, I'll be shocked if it goes to the third. Both guys are just lethal with striking, So when I think about it, I think I'm going to go with Dos Santos, only because the only way I see Carwin actually winning this is if he gets a hold of him. And I definitely know that Dos Santos, the minute he heard that Carwin was going against him, was working in his training camp against getting in the clinch. And Carwin still has suspect cardio. I don't know how much cardio he's worked on. He is off a long layoff. I don't even like Carwin, to be honest. He banned me from Twitter after I insulted him. I understand why, but either way, I think Dos Santos is going to win this fight by knockout. I'm going to give it the second round, the beginning of the second round. This fight is not going to last long. It's going to be actually a really good fight, I think. And I'm looking forward to Dos Santos fighting Velasquez and hopefully knocking his ass out too, because I'm still mad about Velasquez beating Brock. And I'm still mad at Velasquez. MMA is one of those sports where, race and culture and the background really doesn't have much to do with it, in my opinion. I mean, you could be a white guy and want to root for Rampage, even though Rampage's opponent's white, or you could be a Brazilian fan and root for Sakuraba. That's awesome about MMA, is that you don't have to. A lot of fans will root for the Puerto Rican fans. Dominican fans will root for the Dominican fans in like other sports, soccer, baseball, all that stuff. But in MMA, you can root for whoever you want. And that's a great thing about it. And a lot of Velasquez's promos from his last fight were against Lesnar, were like very like racial, and I don't appreciate that. I kind of want to avoid all that from MMA. But nonetheless, I hope Dos Santos wins. I hope that you guys enjoyed the vlog. It's my first time back. This is actually really good to even talk to some of you guys. I'm always on Twitter. I love talking to you guys on Twitter or on the website. You know, I see Fletcher's doing all right, and as far as everything with Team Takeover and DiBiase and everybody, they're doing all right. So shout out to them, to J Ride, to everybody that supports me. I got Sony Vegas, so I'm gonna learn to try to do production to these videos, as well as I actually was able to somehow through YouTube get an extra amount of time. So I'm actually going past the 15-minute mark. But I promise to not try to. I'm going to try to keep a lot of these vlogs short and sweet. And we're going to do a lot of production to this so we could jazz it up a little bit. Nonetheless, thank you for watching. Add me on Twitter. Go on the Team Takeover website. Talk on the forums. Shout out to Bloodstain Lane, of course, and everybody out there. Joey Gallo, the king of MMA, and everybody else. And, rest in peace, Macho Man. And that's it. Peace.